Over the last 5 years or so, my group has been working on identifying various genetic causes of short stature. And around 5 years ago, we found 3 families, each of whom had mutations in this gene called Aggrecan. So Aggrecan is a protein that's found in cartilage. So it's found specifically in the cartilage of joints, like your knees and your backbone. And it's also found within the growth plates itself. Aggrecan is the stuff outside the cells in the cartilage that keeps your cartilage kind of squishy. Okay? And what we found was that in these 3 families, they all had mutations in one copy of the Aggrecan gene. And what that led to was they had short stature, pretty significant short stature, and it was due to their growth plates maturing prematurely. So their growth plates looked like they were older than the children actually were, and were fusing at a younger age, so the kids never got their full growth spurts and were ending up quite short. And this was inherited from one of their parents, so there was a dominant form of inheritance through the family. You could track it down from this parent and this grandparent and to that cousin. So in subsequent work, we started collaborating with people all around the world, and we published a second paper which described over 100 children now from 20 families around the world with mutations in Aggrecan. And in ongoing work, we're finding that even maybe up to 2% of patients who come to our clinics with short stature, with unknown causes of short stature, may have mutations in the Aggrecan gene. But the next question is, well, what do you do about it? So we designed a clinical trial to look at how effective growth hormone therapy is in patients with Aggrecan gene mutations. So that trial is ongoing, and at the Pediatric Academic Society meeting, we're going to be presenting the first 6-month data from that trial. And the preliminary data, it's a small number of patients right now. Our goal is just to have 10 patients. We're almost at that goal in this initial study. But the preliminary data shows that these children are growing much faster with growth hormone, up to around 9.5 centimeters a year on average, which is a much faster rate than the children were growing before growth hormone. As part of the study, we're also looking at their joints, right? Because kids with mutations in Aggrecan and adults as well can have very significant early onset arthritis. And one of the most interesting findings so far is that we found a 12-year-old kid who had no joint complaints at all, and his x-rays were normal, but when we did an MRI of his knee, we found early signs of what's called osteochondritis dissecans, which is a severe joint cartilage problem. And his family has a strong history of arthritis, and we're trying to see if through physical therapy and working with sports medicine physicians, we can prevent the severe onset of arthritis in the future by detecting this earlier. So that work is also ongoing and will hopefully be very impactful for these families.